Welcome to Plan 9 Crunch. This is Plan 9 Crunch Reads from a genre novel. Today we have Kolchak the Night Stalker, the Mothman Requiem by Martin Powell, who is a Facebook friend of mine. And also he is a pretty acclaimed writer. He has lots and lots of books to his credit. One book I'm planning to buy because it seems very interesting is a Dracula or sort of vampire tale called Grace and Scarlet. But I was talking to Martin recently and asked him to recommend a book. And he recommended this Kolchak book. It's from moonstonebooks.com. You can get it there. We'll put a link. And I'm a Kolchak fan. I love the TV series and the movies. And in this book, he captures Carl Kolchak pretty well. The seersucker suit, the reporter who bluffs his way through interviews and through people and things like that. And the mixture of a little bit of fear and a lot of bit of courage that Carl Kolchak's character has. So this, of course, involves Carl Kolchak always deals with monsters. In this one, it's the Mothman. And he works for a newspaper in LA in this one, but all the same characters there, Tony and Updike, if you're familiar. And he goes off to try to figure out what's going on with this Mothman who's making appearances. Let me read a little bit from it, okay? He eventually ends up in the West Virginia area where the whole thing originated. Okay, this is Lucy. Prudence introduced her as she would a blood relative. She's the goodest girl that ever was, aren't you, sweetheart? Abruptly, Lucy stiffened, ears perked, nose working overtime. A low growl rumbled in her throat as she stared at the orchid. Prudence turned visibly paler in the porch light. What is it, girl? What's wrong? Her lower lip quivered, peering at the darkened trees. I followed her gaze, squinting to the flurries at what appeared to be a very tall man, wearing a long, dark coat or cape, lurking among the cluster of pear trees. The figure's motion was erratic, reminiscent of a hermit's crab's sideways locomotion. Lucy's growl grew deeper. Prudence and I stared on, both hardly trembling. As the dark shape slowly turned to face us, a pair of amber eyes ignited, increasing to a smoldering red. A witchy cackle grew to a blood-curdling shriek. Great wings unfolded and the thing rose off the ground, swooping horribly toward us. This was no damn sandhill crane. Ever had one of these gut-wrenching nightmares where something awful is chasing you as you're trying to run away in knee-deep muck? Sure you have. The porch steps were mountainously steep as we stampeded into the house, slamming and locking the heavy oaken door behind us. Prudence looked as sick as I felt, my heart racing in a cold sweat. Only Lucy kept her nerve, fearlessly snarling at the closed door with hackles raised. Before either of us spoke, a shadow swept across a large picture window, and an ear-piercing shriek circled the house. My throat tightened from a sudden stench like burning sulfur. I grasped Prudence by her wrist, making her flinch. Is there a gun in the house? She spastically shook her head. Gramps won't allow it. Well, great. That was just great. In retrospect, a gun wouldn't have been much help, but you'll throw rocks at a tidal wave if you're scared enough. A thud resounded in the roof. Prudence's blood-specked eyes glistened with tears. A long, tense silence followed. Snow swarmed like angry hornets against the dark windows. We warily made our way into the parlor. I shut and locked the door. But Carl, Gramps is sleeping upstairs. He's up there with it, she protested. I grabbed an iron poker from the fireplace before I knew what I was doing, spooking myself for a jolting second by my own reflection in the mantel's mirror. All right, stay here. What the hell was I doing? I'll get Hiram. But Carl, it'll be okay, I stammered. Maybe the damn thing's flown away. Lock the door behind me. Okay. Kolchak the Night Stalker, the Mothman Requiem is a short read. It's a novella. It's very entertaining. And as I mentioned, it captures Carl Kolchak if you're a fan of the Night Stalker TV show and movies, where the book will also have narration where Carl is talking to us like he does in the TV show and the movie. And anyways, I think you'll enjoy it. It's a very recent book. And this is Plan 9 Crunch, reads from a genre novel. I'm Doug Gibson, and we appreciate you taking the time to watch this. We're at plan9crunch.com and Plan 9 Crunch at TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. And that's a wrap.